tells you? What this tells you is that this is a measure. That's all it tells us. It tells you that this is a price, that all things being equal, there's going to be a buy response. There's going to be a short covering rally off of this price based on these two levels, right? Based on these two key levels at the bottom edge, the BX levels. So based on the BX level at the bottom and based on the BX level at the top, this is where I'm going to be bidding to take some profits. So you can obviously now recognize that this becomes a bearish top line. And even if it wasn't a bearish top line, you still had some BX lines that you could have traded in terms of NX trades. So if this was the trade here to here, if I put that line in place, guess what that price there is? That BX line there turns into a BX and an NX as well, doesn't it? So that's an NX sell at that price, isn't it? Yeah. Well, that's what you should be doing, shouldn't you? That's pretty straightforward, because that's exactly how you find these trades, through that confluence of BX lines and NX lines and everything else. Now, why would you have an NX line on the charts? Because you're turning bearish. And it's very, very important that we understand this. If this is a balance area, and it is, it generates a balance area at the top edge called the measured move, but this isn't a measured move this time. This area here is not a measured move. You do not label that with measured move on it anymore, do you? You label this with an XX. And as soon as you label anything with an XX label, as soon as you label anything with that XX label, you know the market is now a sell at almost pretty much at any price. Because otherwise you'd never have labeled this XX level here. You'd always immediately recognize that this is now a sell trade regardless, because this tells me that obviously I would be a seller of bottom edges because I'm now bearish. Otherwise I wouldn't have an XX on that chart, right? I'm bearish. So I'd be a seller of bottom edges. So if I'm a seller of bottom edges, I'm pretty much going to be a seller realistically anywhere inside that box, and I'll expect to make money. So we can actually start recognizing some of these very easy to spot clues. As soon as you've got an XX on the charts, you'll be getting trades done. As soon as you've got it, you'll be doing business. And obviously the takeaway from that has been pretty close to sensational. I mean, you've obviously got a big BX line from over here 2 days ago. That's the biggest picture line you've got in the screens at the present moment that's traded. And that was at $76 into that key area, and another great opportunity for you to bag and tag some monies from that original sell trade at 78. My God, $2,200 on the swing. Yes, of course it's lucky, guys. You can't claim that you knew that trade, can you? You can't claim that you knew that the United Arab Emirates were going to come out and make some sort of statement like that. All you can say is we got lucky, but we were in the right trade, because that seems to be what was getting monetized, was that statement. Do you not think that this line was perhaps somebody in the Emirates selling oil on that spread? They don't want to just go in as a straightforward outright, because that's dead obvious. So what they do is they manipulate the spreads. They try and get into the spreads. And if they try and get into the spreads, that shows up somewhere. And then a data release comes out that says, oh my God, United Arab Emirates have just come out and said this. And you say, but they probably were doing that trade for the last, 20 hours or so. 20 hours or so. And that's the thing, Paul, isn't it? Because it's not illegal in any country to do that, use that inside information. It's not illegal for them to do that. It's just what they call good business. So, but we can see them monetizing things, can't we? That's the point of value lines, is they're going to monetize that. Do you honestly think the Arab Emirates oil boys that know this information, do you honestly think they're just going to not take advantage of that knowledge? You know what I mean? Do you think they're going to let that opportunity go without taking advantage of it? Or do you think they'll try and monetize that knowledge somewhere? But the best way to monetize it is to trade oil. The best way to trade oil without trading direct oil is to trade the derivatives, to trade the values that have a direct impact. So in other words, calendar spreads, Brent oil WTI spreads, those kind of spreads, all the spreads that might have an impact from whatever news release is going to come out, that's where they're going to try and position themselves. And that looks like they're positioning themselves, doesn't it? When you see these big macro plays, guys, the calls that we make on oil, which might now seem unbelievable, are actually really straightforward. I mean, you just look at this chart and you can see it for yourself. I mean, does the buy trade stand out and does the sell trade stand out in these areas? I mean, come on, it's so bloody obvious. It's embarrassing, isn't it? That anybody would miss those opportunities to deal. Seriously, it's obvious. Do you agree with that? There really is only two macro trades in that entire chart. There's the buy trade here that obviously runs right along this BX line here. And then there was the sell trade here that ran right along that BX line there, correct? It's the only two trades. And no wonder we were neutral through this phase here. It started to brew though. It definitely started to brew, which is why when I tweeted out last night that I'm starting to see a bearish trade setting up, that's why I tweeted the fact that I was starting to see a bearish trade setting up. The hindsight of the OPEC UAE is just pure chance. It's just pure luck. But obviously we'll take advantage of it when we can, right? We'll take advantage of it because that's the only trade in town, right? It was the only trade in town.